Hello, I'm Pastor Kalju, Five Ways Ministry branch of Word of Faith. Nice to see that you're watching. Today I want to explain a little bit. Much of the Old Testament early times happened in the area between the rivers Tigris and Euphrates, where some people say the Garden of Eden was, and many lived that side. It was quite fertile between the rivers and so on. And they knew of another place, Egypt, also very fertile on the banks of the Nile River. And between the two places there was a trade. And trade took the form of camel trains that had to travel. And it wasn't just a quick overland. They couldn't go immediately westward because there was a massive desert there. So they had to come across what they call the Fertile Crescent. And there was a man there in that Iraq area, a man called Terah. And Terah had three sons, Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Terah decided they were going to now move. And they were going to move where trade was. Trade went very well between them and Egypt. And trade center was right there on Galilee. Now, Capernaum was a big trade center. So when they came across, they either went all the way to the sea and they came down the coast, or they came down via the Jordan River, and they spent quite a lot of time in Capernaum area. And that area was known as Canaan. So Terah, they wanted to move to a more profitable place. And he took his three sons, but the one died. Haran died there, so he took Abram and he took Nahor and Nahor's son Lot, and they moved. And they got all to the north to a place called Haran, also the same name. And there he got old, did old Terah. And they didn't venture much further than that, and the Bible tells us he died up north there in that place. But he was wanting to go to a place, Canaan, where the prosperity was. He knew to get away and to get to do a new thing. And while they were there, Abram at that time, and Sarai and Lot, and God spoke to Abram and said, Abram, get up. I want to take you to Canaan. I want to take you to a promised land. I want to take you where I will bless you amazingly. And Abram then, with his family, all his belongings, his herds, his workers, they were not poor. And when they traveled, they had to travel in the big bunch. And his father Terah wanted to go that way, but his journey was cut short. And then Abram then went down, and they went all the way down, closer to Egypt than just Capernaum, to the promised place. We sometimes don't know why things lead us in certain directions. They didn't know what or where. They didn't really have a close contact with God, that they were walking in God's best. They just felt to move. And they went lock, stock, and barrel, and they moved all the way going down. They got stuck halfway. But it wasn't God's plan, with Abraham finally getting to the promised land. And there God blessed him. And you can read in the scriptures what all went on, how he was blessed amazingly. Sometimes things happen to us, and we don't know why we do this or we move that, or the family decides this. But if you love the Lord, and we hear later on that Abram heard the voice of God. So Abram knew God in spite of the fact that it didn't say too much there. He had some type of relationship with this mystical God. But God spoke to him. And he found out that what they were doing as a family was in God's will to bring them into the promised land. And today you don't know what tomorrow brings. You're not sure. You've been doing certain stuff and you haven't known if it's in God's will. I want to encourage you. If you love the Lord Jesus, then everything that you do, He will have arranged and it's in His will. And as you're thinking of going somewhere, you can ask the Lord, or you can feel that inner leading, and go. Do it, committing it to the Lord, for He wants to bless you as a child of God. And He wants to lead you into good paths so that His name might ultimately be glorified. So know the voice of the Lord. Be blessed. Walk in His ways, and you will definitely prosper according to His will. God bless you. Have a nice day.